Hey guys, Tommy here. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I research cryptocurrencies. And of course, as a preface, this is not investment advice. Do your own due diligence on everything and make your own decisions. This is just how I approach things. So hopefully it's helpful to you. I know this video is not going to be perfect, but I think you guys will like it. And I'll also say here too, I know I could charge for these videos and other videos I've made. I've had people ask me if I do paid content or like a newsletter or anything like that. I haven't done anything like that thus far, at least. I know I could probably, charge you guys like $50 for this video, and I know many of you guys will pay for it. But it's not something I really care about right now. My priority is I just want to share knowledge with you guys out of love. And honestly, it probably goes against my own interests because I'll probably lead an investment fund someday. But I'm sharing my tools with you guys, and I don't mind that because I want to empower you guys. I think cryptocurrency is a good thing for the world, and I want to help adoption and help you guys kind of know what you're doing in the space, especially those of you guys who are new here. There's a lot of things to look at. These are kind of tools that I've developed over years, and I also think it's good karma. I'm a believer in that. I think it'll come back to me in a good way sometime in the future. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So first thing is, how do I keep a pulse on things? This is a question I get, and I find two of the best ways to keep a pulse on things is Reddit and Twitter, and I'll break that down in just a second. Reddit, I use two different Reddits. I have a main blockchain Reddit. This doesn't have too many things on them. And then I have a blockchain 2 Reddit, which has a lot of cryptocurrencies that I'm following that I just want to stay in the loop for. And I'm going to put a link for these in the description below, so you can actually just directly follow the ones I follow, because I update these time to time, so you could just follow them. And I'll say on that note too, I know a lot of people don't like Reddit, or they think it's not credible or something like that. I think that's insane. I think Reddit is one of the best tools for keeping in touch on what's going on in a community or any interest, not just limited to cryptocurrency, but like say if you like fitness, you can follow fitness stuff, meditation, there's really good stuff for that. So I think Reddit's a tremendous tool. If you don't know how Reddit works, it basically is vote based. So the subjects that get voted on by most of the users go to the top, and it's kind of time-based, so they go away over time. So it's a great way to keep in touch with current developments and whatnot in the cryptocurrency space and other interests. So I've used Reddit for years, and I find it very helpful. So it doesn't mean you catch everything on Reddit, but you certainly catch a lot of what's going on. So there's Reddit, and then another one of my favorite tools is using Twitter. And you can see who I follow here. The main people and organizations I follow on Twitter are the large cryptocurrencies I'm interested in and some major, influencers, developers in the space. I'll kind of scroll through it so you can kind of see who I follow. I don't like to follow a ton of people. I just like to keep my Twitter feed kind of short and concise, so that this is my Twitter feed. Again, another good source of information. You can kind of see what's going on in the day and whatnot. So Twitter and Reddit are two of my favorite go-tos for keeping in tabs on what's going on in cryptocurrency. And that, again, these link to different articles and stuff, rather than going to a specific article site. You're usually finding good articles here. So Reddit and Twitter, those are great tools for following. If you guys are newbies to the space again, just feel free to follow my Reddits. The Reddits I follow, and perhaps make a list of your Twitter followers just the same. That'd probably be a good idea for you. Okay, so now you guys know again, and there's more things I look at, but those are two cornerstones of what I look at. I'm going to show you guys now how I research things. I've made a format here, and this format is kind of in a way where I'm going to have people kind of report to me about cryptocurrencies, so it's kind of set up in that way. Just so you guys know, it's a working format. It's not perfect, but should give you guys a pretty good idea of some things to look at when you're researching cryptocurrencies. And I'll say too, I'm sure I forgot to put some things on here, but overall it should be useful for you guys. So I'm going to go through this slowly I want to feel it with you guys as I go through them and kind of elaborate on the point so you guys know some of the major things I'm looking at when I'm researching cryptocurrencies. Okay, so let's jump into that now. So the basics of a cryptocurrency, of course, the name, the ticker symbol, and the market cap. This would be in a report format, what I'd like to see. So one of the first questions is it stable or has it been very volatile in the past months? Has there been any major activity in the days and weeks? The reason why I want to know that is that if I want to know if the cryptocurrency has a lot of hype going on right now, or is it like an undiscovered cryptocurrency? So that immediately, I'd want to know that first and foremost. Next thing we're looking at is the market cap and volume. And here's something I'll mention. I've noticed a lot of people, especially newcomers to the space, are looking at the price of the cryptocurrency. And I would say that the price does not matter as much because the market cap is essentially the price multiplied by the circulation. But the price of something could be very high, but the circulation could be very low, and thus the market cap could be low. And that's what you actually want to look at, because the market cap is the total valuation of what the cryptocurrency is worth. So let me see if I can give you guys an example on that. Ethereum has a $26 billion market cap. Thus, it's going to take, billions of dollars to move the price higher. But Ethereum could be $1 right now. It just have a circulating supply of, 300 times more, and then it would be $1. But the market cap would be the same. That's why I say don't get caught up in the price. Look at the market cap. That's the most important thing to see there. So that's kind of a pro tip for some of you guys. I know the price is a psychological thing, but I don't think it makes that much of a difference. I think the market cap is where it's at. Okay, so looking at the market cap, price, and volume. We also want to see how has the volume been, especially compared to the market cap. Sometimes the volumes are extremely low for the market cap, and sometimes the volumes are high. It just gives an indication of the activity, how much activity it's had. So these are good kind of things to look at, and you'll notice a difference between them as you go along researching cryptocurrencies. We also want to look at the current coin supply, because every cryptocurrency has a different amount of coins in circulation, and then the maximum coin supply after the inflation. So for example there, Ethereum has 92 million coins set to have around 100 million before they go to proof of stake, and then the inflation rate will be very low, about 1% a year. So you want to pay attention to those figures, and I'll build on that in a minute. That brings us to the next point, which is the inflation rate. This is very important, one of the more important things to look at when you're looking at a cryptocurrency. A lot of people don't pay attention to this, and it's really funny to me. I'll give you guys an example here. So here we had EOS, which was an ICO recently, and they've released about 200 million coins. I'm not sure why CoinMarketCap is not showing that, but it's about 200 million. And they're going to release another 700 million over the next year. So if there's 200 million now and 700,000 or 700 million more coins coming, that's an inflation rate of approximately 350%. So a very high inflation rate. These are things you have to think about, because just like imagine if the dollar or the euro had 300% inflation, it's the value of your dollar is going to plummet. It's no different for cryptocurrencies. The dollar has around, in real terms, is losing about 8 to 9% value per year. So that's kind of in alignment with some of these major cryptocurrencies. Ethereum, Dash, Monero, a lot of these major ones have about 15% or so inflation. Bitcoin has about 5% now. So you have kind of an idea. The inflation rate is important, because if it's a high inflation, you're going to need more money going into that cryptocurrency in order to sustain that. And you might ask, why does that even matter? Well, in times when there's a bear market, like there was in 2014, let's see if I can show you guys this in an effective way. Just remove this bubble here so you guys can actually see. So here the price was dwindling down for a whole year. I strongly feel this was because of basic supply and demand economics. The price was high, inflation was high, and demand was just not enough to support it. Eventually, supply and demand reached an equilibrium, and then demand exceeded supply. I strongly feel this is what happened in cryptocurrency in the past 3.5 years. So that's why inflation is relevant. If you have a 350% inflation rate, price of cryptocurrency is likely to come down over time. So inflation rate's important. I'm looking for something modest there when I'm researching the cryptocurrency. This is a big one, as I wrote here. Okay, and the next thing is the technology. And I'll say, guys, too, I'm going to try to make this video as quick as possible, but these are all very important points to go through. And again, I think you guys want to see this as well. So the next thing we're talking about is the technology. And in that, we're looking at what is the value proposition of the cryptocurrency and the target market and the potential size of that market in an unexaggerated way. We don't want to blow it up. You know, let's be realistic. So for instance, if we're looking at platforms versus smaller use cases, that's a big difference. Like Ethereum's a platform, right? There's 1,000 use cases that could be, you know, within it. And then there's smaller use cases, cryptocurrencies, say just for, you know, data storage. So you want to pay attention to that. We're looking at how the market of that has grown so far. And I think this is something really important. I want to add on this. This is one of the reasons why I like platforms, because there's so many ways for them to be successful. There's so many ways for Ethereum to be successful, but there's not that many ways for, say, a cloud storage cryptocurrency to be successful. Or relatively, there's way more for Ethereum and other, you know, Turing complete cryptocurrencies. And so that, I think that's very important to consider. Another thing to consider in this, what is it doing that's unique, if it is doing anything that's unique? Ethereum was the first cryptocurrency that really brought programmable cryptocurrency or Turing complete cryptocurrency that was unique, and it's good to see innovation. Another thing to note, is it a copycat or clone? In Bitcoin, there are thousands of clones, and so you want to pay attention to that. Are there already a lot of copycats for it? Gives you an idea of how easy it is to make a copycat of a cryptocurrency. If there's not that many, it could be potent. And what does it really have going for it? So these are all things to pay attention to. On that note too, you know, Ubiq, although it is an Ethereum type cryptocurrency, it fills in a role as a market of being kind of a Litecoin to Ethereum, as I see. So that's why I like it. There aren't very many Ethereum type cryptocurrencies. So that's why I'm a proponent of Ubiq, especially when I see Ethereum Classic there. I feel like Ubiq does a better job of fulfilling that role of an immutable version of Ethereum, which there seems to be a market for. So anyway, other things to look at. How would it monetize? If it's a company or, you know, like if they want, this is something I pay attention to. I see different ICOs for like an operating system or any company. You want to pay attention to how it would monetize, because in the end of the day, you're buying a token, right? And you want that token to appreciate. So either the token has to generate revenue, or there has to be some supply and demand for the cryptocurrency to increase in value. So you need to pay attention to that. And how would this cryptocurrency grow? How is it going to gather users? And on that note, is it currently growing, and how fast? So these are all things you want to think about when you're investing in cryptocurrencies or crypto assets. So yeah, these are, again, I'm going through this section by section, but these are all very relevant things when you're researching cryptocurrency. If you really want to know what you're getting into, if it's something worthwhile, it's prudent to think about these things, you guys. So that, again, that's why you guys want to know how to research it. Well, these are the things you got to know when you're researching it. Okay, and the next thing to look at is the size of community and public interest. This is a really important part of your analysis. The reason being is because the size of the communities directly influence the demand for the cryptocurrency, and it also reflects healthy growth of a cryptocurrency. Reddit's always a good first stop. So the way you can see this is looking at Reddit metrics. And so here I have an example. Here's Antshares, and Antshares showed really strong growth in public interest here just in the past couple weeks. You can see there are only a couple hundred subscribers here, and then just in the past 2 weeks, from a couple hundred subscribers up to 7,000, over 7,000. Most cryptocurrencies don't grow this fast, but just want to give you guys an example here. To give you guys some contrast, here's Ripple, and Ripple had, it was growing fairly, not super fast, but the community was growing. had around 2,000 subscribers in March, and now is around 14,000 subscribers. So what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at the community and I'm comparing that to the market cap to kind of give an idea of how big the community is relative to the market cap. I'm looking at the best ratio, the largest community for the lowest market cap. So here we have Antshares, and Antshares has around a 400 million market cap. Again, we saw about 7,000 Reddit users. And Ripple has about 14,000 users, so about double, but the market cap is almost 10 billion, which is about 25 times higher. So pound for pound, Antshares has a lot more attractive community size, at least Reddit community size, compared to the market cap. And I'll say there, it's not just Reddit. There's also other communities you want to look at. Some cryptocurrencies are largely on Slack. Some are on Telegram. And these are harder to see the growth of. I haven't seen them compiled as well as Reddit metrics. I love that. If you guys know of any tools that do that, let me know. Or if anyone wants to build that data together, if you guys are good with that kind of stuff, and want to do that and want to work with me, let me know, because I really would like to get that together for other cryptocurrencies and communities. So, and number of Twitter followers is important too. Just kind of gives you an idea of the reach of that community. So one more thing there too, sometimes they congregate not on Reddit or Slack or Telegram, but on their own forum. So you want to then look at the forum statistics for that community. So I'll pull up the community forums and see if they have a lot of activity there. And if so, I want to take that into account. I'm looking at the number of members on that forum, how many have been active recently, how many are currently online, and then I try to see how much it's grown over time. And sometimes I just take screenshots of the community and then compare them over time to get an idea of growth. Again, if you guys are good at pulling data from these sites and you want to work with me, let me know. I'd love to get this situated. I think it's very valuable. Okay, and another thing you guys want to look at is the number of transactions per day and the amount sent per day. This is another really important metric, and you can see this on BitInfo charts. It doesn't have it for all the cryptocurrencies, but you can get a good idea. Here's Bitcoin versus Ethereum, and one thing to really note on this chart is how much Ethereum's taken off since the start of the year. And I feel this is strongly because of Bitcoin's block size issue, essentially limiting the transactions at 300,000. You can see here, Ethereum has really filled Bitcoin's role in that. If you see here now, Ethereum is hitting about the same number of transactions as Bitcoin, and Ethereum can pass this while Bitcoin is still facing trouble in this realm. So this is a really good metric to know how much people are using the cryptocurrency. And another important metric, that's the number of transactions. You also want to look at how much is sent per day. Sent in USD is a good way to look at it. So here again, once again, you see Ethereum, and before the start of this year, Ethereum had 10, 20 million per day or so compared to Bitcoin's 1 or 2 billion. But now Ethereum is right there with Bitcoin. They're both in the mid billions range per day. So Ethereum really has caught up to Bitcoin in terms of number of transactions and total transaction value. So this is another very important metric to pay attention to. You also want to pay attention to the number of active nodes or active addresses. Again, gives you an idea of what's going on. And you'll want to pay attention for all these metrics. The growth, is it going up or down? Is it stagnant? So that gives you an idea of what's going on with the growth of the cryptocurrency. And finally, you can also see Alexa rankings for different sites. Anyway, any site you pull up for cryptocurrency, you can pull up Reddit metrics. I have it here on my toolbar in Chrome. Gives you an idea of the growth, the ranking. This is, again, another very good way of seeing, is the website getting a lot of traffic? And you can see where it's getting its major traffic from too. So Reddit's also, Alexa. Alexa's a great tool there to use as well. So another thing as well is Google search traffic. So you can search Google Trends and see the search traffic for different communities. So I'll show you that. So just pull up Google Trends, just Google Trends, and then for instance, we'll search, Ethereum. And here you can see how the interest has changed over time as well. So this is another useful tool for seeing, how much interest is changing. You can compare it versus other cryptocurrencies and whatnot as well. So one important note here on community size. It's important, but it's not everything. And the biggest example of that I've seen is Dogecoin. Dogecoin had a huge community and a lot of transactions per day. But the problem was the community was not growing, and the direction and the technology behind the cryptocurrency was also not evolving. It was stagnant. So these are really important things too. So I'll mention that it's not the community size. It's community size and growth, as well as the technology. What direction is it going? Is it going to be something useful for the future, or is it old news? And that was the case, unfortunately, with Dogecoin. And here, like for instance, I'll just add it here so you can see, Dogecoin had a really healthy 2014 to 2014. The number of transactions was insane. Look at this. It was the second most behind Bitcoin. It was way past Litecoin, but it just kind of dwindled down. It's not doing anything. So the technology behind it needs to have a good direction, that it's evolving as well too. So now we've talked about the basics, the technology, the size of the community, and next up would be the team. When we're looking at the team, we're looking at how many team members there are, who are the main developers and leaders, how big of a following do they have on social media, especially Twitter, what kind of pull do they have, do they get a lot of engagement, what's their history, what's their history in cryptocurrency, what past work have they done, is there any shady background on them, and how do they interact with the public, are they likable, what's their reputation? These are all things I take into consideration. And the reason why this is important is a lot of people aren't aware of or don't understand, but oftentimes people buy the leaders or the brand of an organization and not not whatever it is itself. For instance, when you're buying a BMW or a Mercedes, you're buying the brand because it's got a good reputation, it's going to be pretty reliable, it's going to be a good performance purchase. And it's the same thing for cryptocurrency. People have faith in Ethereum. They like Vitalik. They see the direction, how he thinks and whatnot. So these are also, this is something that's very important. It's the same for cars, same for clothes, same for cryptocurrencies. And then how adaptable and sharp are the leaders too? This is important. Are they gonna, when they run into difficulties, are they gonna are they gonna lead their ship in a good direction? Or are they going to crash and burn? This is also important too. And you'll kind of see how different leaders respond to different situations. Okay, next you can check on the project itself, some details on the project. You can look at the GitHub activity. I'll show you that in a second. This kind of gives you an idea of how fast they're progressing in the project. Keep in mind different cryptocurrencies progress at different paces. Some are fast, some are slow, some are in the middle. But this is really important. There's a lot of ICOs right now, and in the past there were other cryptocurrencies that just get out there, and you can tell they're kind of cash grabs because they aren't going anywhere. And this is an important note in cryptocurrency. If the developers aren't moving fast, they'll get swallowed up by competition. And an example that I always like is Vine versus Instagram. Years ago I was talking to one of my friends about it, and Vine had the 6-second videos. And then Instagram came out with the 15-second videos. And I was like, okay, this is really bad for Vine because Instagram is gonna swallow them. Kind of like a tsunami taking over a smaller wave. And lo and behold, that's what happened. Vine went out of business because Instagram input that capability. And they're doing the same thing with Snapchat now. By the way, Instagram has a pretty sharp team. So this is important. If a cryptocurrency is not moving fast, then a stronger, larger cryptocurrency can just swallow their use case. So it's important in this space for developers to be moving along as fast as possible. I'd say with respect to security and quality as well too. But that's just the nature of the game. So here's an example of the GitHub for Ethereum. You can see the activity over time. Generally, you just want to see that there's more activity going on, or you can dig into it further and see exactly what's going on. But this will give you an idea. If there's no activity for like a year, that's a red flag. So this is, again, another thing to look at when you guys are researching cryptocurrencies. And finally, just look at the history of the asset. How long has it been around? Is it brand new? Has it been around for a while? It just gives more insight into what's going on. Are they progressing in a healthy way? If they've been around for 3 years, then I want to see the GitHub activity that they're doing quality work in 3 years. And again, the pulse may not show you what's going on, but it'll give you an idea if they're doing anything in the first place. If there's nothing going on, again, that's a red flag. And then, of course, again, if they've been around for a while, you can get an idea of the competence of the developers. Do they know? Do they know? Do they know what they need to bring to the market? Are they doing things that are relevant for the project? And again, we don't want to rush the developers, but speed is the name of the game here. If the cryptocurrency's been around for a while and there's no product that they've proposed that was their value proposition, you want to make sure you scrutinize that so you're not burning your money. You want to make sure it's going to stick around and that it's going to grow. And on that note, if there's a cryptocurrency or a crypto asset and they don't have their product, they don't have a working platform, the community is probably not going to be growing very much. So when they have a product, then the communities are going to grow a lot better. So yeah, that's a lot of little bits that I talked about here, but I know you guys wanted to know how I research them, and this gives you an idea of how I researched cryptocurrencies. And again, this is not perfect, just gives you guys an idea of some of the things I'm looking at when I'm researching them. So that's basically it. Hopefully you guys like it. Again, I know it's a lot of information, but you guys wanted it, so you got it. Share this video with others if you guys like it or you feel like it would benefit them. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I'm going to put a link to my Twitter below. If you guys aren't following me there, follow me there. Also to my Steemit. So follow me on Steemit if you haven't. And also, of course, the Telegram group. Come in there, join the conversation. We're talking about new upcoming cryptocurrencies and just helping each other be aware of what's going on, approaching these things in a value investing sort of way. So yeah, I wish you guys the best, and I'll see you guys on the next one.